Hey, shalom, shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all honor and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashai, Bahashem, Rakah, Hakudas. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth. Peace, blessing, and salutations to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This is your brother Yaladabath through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashai. Again with another lesson, and I pray it's edifying to the Lord's elect. Earlier today, just been meditating on the fact that, persecution is coming. And persecution is coming to try the faith of the elect and to, and the Lord bringing down judgment on the wicked, man. The wicked of our people, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the Lord, man, he's bringing down judgment, so we getting ready to have to, be tried, man, and we getting ready to have it to show that we able to endure this thing, man. This is the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 2 and verse 5. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity, right? So, now is the time to build this character, to have that intimacy with the Lord, man. Because if you lack that intimacy with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, well, hey, ultimately you're not going to be refined, And let me just get that word for the word refined here, in the dictionary, the AI overview. The word refine means to bring or reduce to a pure state or a condition of purity as full as possible, to make fine and become pure. So, hey, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is getting ready to prepare us for that trying and that refining, man. So now, again, it's the time to build that intimacy and to build this faith, to grow stronger in this faith, to grow up and become a man in this thing, a real man of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man, not one who, ultimately goes back into the world and falls into perdition, and, us getting ready to enter these times of afflictions, man, all kinds of suffering, but no matter what, we got to continue to have this faith, and to continue this race until the end, man. Patience too. Patience is very strong. It's very important, man. This is patience in the Edamon Online. Quality of being willing to bear adversities, calm endurance of misfortune, suffering, the quality of suffering or enduring. So again, man, this word patience is going into enduring suffering, man, having that endurance. So brothers we gotta be strong in patience, and we gotta learn, again, having this intimacy with the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. This is the book of Philippians chapter 3 and verse 8. Yea, doubtless, and I count all things but loss for the excellency of the knowledge of Hamashiach Yahushai, my Lord, for whom I have suffered the loss of all things, and do count them but done, that I may win Yahushai, right? So again, bros, we got to be willing to lose everything for this world, man, to gain Yahushai, and we might as well endure the suffering, endure all the things that, ultimately it's a lot of things that are, we should be willing to sacrifice, man. We should be willing to endure, for the times when we was going off outside this truth, before this truth and things like that, man. We got to be, that's something reasonable, What did Yahushua had to go through? Being lied on, being, having many Israelites turn their back on him, man. It's something that we gotta go harder for, man. In the book of Baruch is going into, though we have, you know, you miss going into seeking the Lord 10 times more, man, for forsaking him at one point, you know. So we got to continue to be strong, man, and everything that, you know, that has to be burned in that fire, man, let it be burned now, that we may be present our purest self, man. You know, because us having that purity, having that fine refinement with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, ultimately at the end, that's our defense and that's our strength, you know. You know, us having putting on the full armor of Yahushai, you know. You know, and it's better to go through the suffering now, you know, going through all the loss for Yahushai now than for later, man. Because, you know, the suffering that the 2/3 is getting ready to experience, that's a suffering that, you know, ultimately we fear and we never want to receive, man. You know, that's something that we running from, you know. Lord willing, we covered, you know, that we don't have to go through the same sufferings that the 2/3 have, you know, because the sufferings they finna go through is terrible, man. You know. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 2 and verse 13. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended, right? And, you know, we getting ready to enter Jacob's trouble, man. And those that are faint-hearted, you know, those who don't believe, at the end of the day, they gonna be rejected, man. And guys who are faint-hearted are dudes in the world who chose their woman over this truth, you know, who chose their families, who chose their parents, who chose the opinion of you know, the world, so to speak, you know, and everything of this world, you know. He wasn't able to cross over to Yahushai. Those are the faint-hearted, man, you know. And those dudes ain't gonna be defended, man, during Jacob's trouble. They getting ready to have to suffer a very devastating fate, man, you know. You know, this is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 25 and verse 4. And the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, has sent unto you all his servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, but ye have not hearkened nor inclined your ear to hear, right? And, you know, Canada just, you know, last week, you know, the bill C9, you know, came out, and hey, man, real soon you're not gonna have the prophets warning you and breaking down the prophecies, man, warning you people of the coming destruction. So the time to hearken unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is now, man. But right here it says, but ye have not hearkened nor inclined your ear to hear. So, and this too is prophecy, man, that our people will not hearken nor incline their ears to hear, man. But Jake, it's your responsibility to pray to the Lord, to have them open ears, man, you know, and to incline your spiritual ears to the word of the Lord, man, and pray you get the understanding, you know. Let me get this word for hearken. It means to listen carefully or to pay close attention to. It often implies not just hearing the words, but taking them to heart and obeying, right? So that's what our people, you know, are missing, man. And it's our time to get this word now and be ready to lose everything, man, to gain Yahawashi, man, and count everything as done, you know, as a waste. Something that's no longer a benefit unto you, you know. And that's the mindset that we got to be, man, you know, counting everything lost and as done to win Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, you know. A famous precept I like to bring out and I like to read, you know, just to remind myself to be strong in this truth and remember that it's about, you know, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai at the end of the day, man, and us receiving the kingdom, you know, us truly carrying that legacy into the kingdom, man, you know. All because of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai was in our corner, you know. This is the book of Luke, chapter 14 and verse 26. If any man come to me and hate not his father, mother, wife, children, and brethren and sister, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple, right? So you got to be willing to put yourself on the back end, man, for Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Put all them things of the world, everything, your likes, things that bring you joy, pleasure, all that, man, peace, all that, things that you find comfort, and able and think you got to rest with. Nah, man, the true comfort and the true rest come from Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. If any man come unto me and hate not his father, this word hate, is going into love and less, man. So you got to love everything of this world less, even our own life, man. This is the book of St. Matthew chapter 6 and verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you, right? So, we got to, again, seek righteousness, man. Seek the righteousness of the Heavenly Father and the kingdom first. And everything else, we going to get it at the end of the day, man. We going to receive of everything 100-fold. So that's a comfort, and that's a promise, but you got to be willing to choose the Lord over all things, man, because, hey, having that intimacy with the Lord, it's what's going to help us endure, have that patience all throughout Jacob's trouble, man, to the kingdom, we in the chariots, till we with Yahawashai supping, man. Again, it's about us, picking up our cross, man, and following after Yahweh Shem Yahushai, us being worthy, man. Us bearing our cross, it's crucial, and it's key. And it's, hey, a little sacrifice to get a greater reward, is the smartest decision of our lives, man. It's a benefit unto us at the end of the day. It's not something that, you really need in this world, man. But in this world, to get by, and without going insane, you got to have the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. The Lord got to be pleased with you, And hey, man, real calamities getting ready to come down here to America, Babylon the Great. So, brothers, again, constantly us be edifying, get edified, Jake in the world, man, repent, be converted, be edified, become a teacher, serve the Lord to the best of your ability, just like all the rest of us, man, who put on as the elect, and, fear the Lord, man. Fear the Lord again, man. That's also going to be a key factor of us, enduring. So pretty much with that, it's just in the spirit. I pray this was an edifying lesson. Again, I want to give all honor and praises to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, B'Hashem Rakah HaKodash. Again, double honors, peace, and salutations to the apostles and elders, elder bishops, elder brothers, a great millstone where I learn this truth. And with that, Shalom.